Hi, this is Douglas Robinson with DefEdit Software LLC, and in this video we're showing you an early preview of our new Blueprint Status Tracking map. Now this is going to be both a Cherwell map that exists in your Cherwell system, which is over here. I'm actually working on finalizing that up and putting that into a map file right now, as well as a .NET application that will sync data through your Cherwell API using that map. So what we have in this map is a new Blueprint Status Tracking business object, and this holds a couple of fields, namely blueprint name, a logical from whether a blueprint has been migrated to prod, and a description field. And if we look at this form here, we can get an idea of what these are actually tracking. So blueprint name is always just going to be the name of the blueprint that you're creating. You have a field that tracks whether you've actually published it to production yet, and the description is just so that you can document what the actual blueprint is, what you're doing with it, what's contained in it, this touches incident and all that, so you can actually provide some context around your blueprints. Now ideally there's a couple of different uses for this. What I like to do when I create a business object to track blueprints, I usually have a little icon next to it that indicates whether or not it's in production yet. And I like to use this as a checklist for actually showing whether or not I've published something to production or not. So when I need to move something to my production environment, I look at my blueprint status table and I see the list of little exclamation marks that need to be published to prod, and I just go through them and I publish one by one. What this map is going to do is it's not going to require that you open up Cherwell and you go into table management and then you open this page and you just sit here and mark these off. And when it's a context menu action, you have to right click on it and hover over actions and then click on the one step. This will make it slightly more convenient. It gives you that table so you don't have to go and build it yourself and configure it, which takes up your time. Instead, you can apply it to your system once. It's already pre-built and you have this handy app. Now what this does is it connects to your Cherwell system and it pulls out the same data that you can see here in this lookup table, either in my administrator tool or in my Cherwell client, I'm just going to say. We have these three blueprints. One of them is for a blueprint status tracker object, and then we have a couple of other test blueprints. What this does is it lets you double click on one of them and mark it as in production. It's that simple. If you need to migrate all of your blueprints to production, you can just double click on each one after it's done and it gets marked as in prod, and that's synced up to your Cherwell system immediately, which is awesome. The other thing that this map does, which is kind of neat, is it automates the creation of your blueprint file names. So what I do when I create blueprints, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, is I create this blueprint status table on whatever system I'm on, and when I create a new blueprint and I'm about to save it and I need to get that blueprint file name, I go over to my table, I select it, I click edit data, I insert a new record, and then I have this field for blueprint name set up to automatically generate my file name. I don't have to worry about figuring out what time it is. That's handled automatically, and the beauty of that is that your blueprint file names are going to sort based on that time that's automatically entered. Now, if you have different Cherwell admins in different time zones, this date and time structure for the blueprint name may not work perfectly for you, but you can modify that to meet your needs. But for me, it's great. I go and look at this list. This is sorting oldest to newest, so I just look from top down. Here are the blueprints that I need to work on. Or you could do it the other way around. Doesn't really matter. The important thing is when you get it into this view, we refresh here. Oh, they're all already done. The map works that well. Let me go and mark these as not migrated to prod, and then we can see this data again. The important thing to note is that your oldest blueprints are going to show up first, so this app is a top-down view of which blueprints you need to publish in what order. That's very important to have. That is just about it. Now the way this app works is you have a settings page, and there you need to actually define out your Cherwell API address, your Cherwell client ID, your username, and your password. Now it's going to sign into Cherwell using your credentials. These are safely and securely stored and encrypted on the local disk. So if we take a look at our file here for our configuration, we can see this is actually what these settings are getting exported out to on the local disk. You can see here's a setting for Cherwell username, and it's encrypted out to this very weird hashed value. Now, I'm going to say this is secure enough. It's not something you would want someone else to get their hands on, but it should work fairly well enough for the intended purpose. I'm sure it would take someone a lot of effort to actually break into the method that we're using for encrypting this data, so I'm not super concerned about it. But yeah, so the username and password, those get serialized out to this settings file on the local disk, because otherwise, you know, this app isn't going to have a way to communicate to the API. The Cherwell API URL also gets saved out to the disk along with the client ID. The client ID is also encrypted, and that's it. So it uses those files, you only have to, or it uses those settings, you only have to define them once, and then it reads them in every time it loads after that point. And from there you can just mark off your blueprints as in production, and they will magically be synced up with Cherwell, and that's it. That's our map. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you will get YouTube's annoying push notifications. Thanks.